record because I didn't do that already. So now that we are actually recording, how about Tanza and Tom, how about you guys introduce yourselves to our followers?
Hi guys, I'm Tanza Elin Stahl. I am a spiritual consultant, meaning that's a shorter way of saying that I am a psychic, I am a medium, I am an intuitive energy healer. I teach meditation. I teach others to develop their own intuition and their own unique gifts. And I coach people. And Tom and I are preparing for some exciting new things. And Tom is kind of stepping into the role of working in the spiritual realm as well. I have been working with my business actively for the last 5 years. I've really been on my healing journey, as we'll call it, for the last 7 years. And it's been a really fun ride. We work out of Fort St. John, BC. However, I've found in the past year, especially, that a lot of my business has began morphing into being an online business. I'm doing a lot more Skype, a lot more FaceTime, a lot more distant sessions, which is amazing because technology is incredible and I'm slowly learning how to use it efficiently.
Technology is definitely a challenge. Well, thank you for joining me. Let's just let everybody know, everybody who's joining, we are broadcasting live. So if you have any question, join the webinar. You can ask your questions in the webinar. You can ask your questions on Facebook Live. I am watching to make sure that we've got comments and shares. Make sure you share because this is going to be some valuable stuff. All right, so we're going to get into some questions here that I have for you guys that are going to benefit our viewers. All right, so again, we talked about how Tanza was my own little cataclysm, and that is because Tanza is a psychic medium, a spiritual consultant, I will say, and she really opened my eyes to what I needed to be doing and what I was capable of when I was absolutely terrified. I'm not going to lie. I was totally terrified. So in speaking of that, being a spiritual consultant, what exactly does that entail? What are the abilities that go with that? What do you offer your clients in the capacity of a spiritual consultant?
You know, that's why I kind of made the switch over to start referring to myself as a spiritual consultant. Because I really went through periods where I went through kind of categorizing myself in different boxes. When I first started in this line of work, I really was embodying the position of a healer. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work as a healer. I became a Reiki master. I specialized in cord cutting and clearing and balancing chakras. I still to this day absolutely adore working with chakras and cord cutting. I mean, they're both amazing tools, but I really thought that is where I would focus. I had even had plans of going into Ayurveda and really continuing to focus on the healing background. And I still do, to some degree. However, I noticed as my sessions started to continue and I got busier and busier that the mediumship was coming very strong. So that's when I sought out my next mentor and really specialized in mediumship for a couple years, really. And then I kind of had a little bit of a reawakening of being like, you know, I've kind of lost myself in this process. I've lost why I got here, why I started this, what it is I really want to shine and spread out into this world. And so when I went back to that, I kind of went back to my roots of bringing in more of that healing. And then through that process, I realized there were so many more ways I could continue to help others and to assist others. And also getting out of that mind frame, you know, where coaching really became prominent again for me, was that support. Because through my journey, Tom and I live in a small community, and in this small community there are an abundance of amazing healers, intuitives, psychics, which is incredible because our community is pretty open to what it is that I do. However, what I noticed is that a lot of people were getting very competitive, and not just in my immediate community. I mean, overall in this industry, the competition was becoming fierce and people were getting catty and you know, it was a lot of, instead of being about love and light, supporting each other, I was seeing abundance of comparing, of belittling, of trying to like one up each other. Well, I learned from so-and-so, or I charge this much, or I'm this busy. And I thought, you know, that's not really who I am. I'm someone that really dislikes drama. I find it incredibly exhausting and draining. So I do everything I can to remove myself from that, because I'm somebody that's very empathetic, and I'm a relator to people. So I really like to relate to their stories and their struggles. And so that's when I figured it's time to go back to coming up with some alternative directions to give people a deeper transformation. But also because I went through an experience of having clients become dependent. You know, they felt like they couldn't make a decision unless they had a session. They wanted to know, they didn't know what way they should go, what direction they should go. And I always look at it like, when we see a psychic or a medium, yes, incredible healing happens, but ultimately it is you that's in control of your life. You are the creator of your life. You are the one that's going to heal yourself. So to put that dependency on another, you're really giving away your power. And that's something that I totally disagree with, because I don't believe we should be dependent on anyone other than ourselves.
So now with that, do you find that you're leaning out of doing readings and out of doing mediumships? Obviously, you're still passionate about it. But I found once I started really getting into my own coaching practice, that I don't have a hard time connecting to spirit or connecting to the energies that I need to do the readings, but I'm finding that when I'm doing the readings, I don't want to do the reading, I want to do the coaching. And which is why I just about completely moved away from offering readings and mediumship. Now, do you find that you're having that as well, where you're kind of not necessarily not as enjoying it as much, but not wanting to do it as much?
Well, you know, it definitely is I would say a different amount of information that comes through, and a different spirit does definitely use my knowledge in the coaching and kind of bring that up more than it used to get brought up, because it's like, well, no, these are the tools that this person could benefit from. Let's share these, because this is in your knowledge. We know how to get you to talk about these. So bring this up. I still am doing at this point quite a few sessions, but I'm definitely finding that my repeat clientele is definitely they're wanting more of the psychic insight. And quite often that psychic insight ends up being a taste of coaching as well. It's not just oracle cards and kind of going off what their energy is giving. It's definitely bringing in that. And I think that's because people are craving clarity. They want the clarity in their life. And in my opinion, so often the quickest way to achieve clarity is through coaching, because when we have the right questions asked, it's easy to receive our own answers.
Now, one more question regarding that. When it comes to, and again, I'm talking from my own experience, so it's nice to ask somebody else who has majority of the same abilities I do, if not more, and I'm probably going to say probably more. But with Tanza, do you find that it's easier to do the coaching, and it's easier to coach somebody else because it's so easy to connect to them, to connect to their energies, to connect to their loved ones and guides, and really get those downloads of what that person needs, what they've gone through, their pain points, and really identify their struggles a little bit easier than if you were just trying to, suck the energy, suck the information out of them, because as human beings, as individuals, we don't want to tell those hard stories. We don't want to tell people, oh, well, I was abused as a child, or, my parents were alcoholics, whatever it may be. People don't want to instantly talk about that, but then you get that kind of idea that that's happened because you're a psychic intuitive, right?
Absolutely. I think that it's I really haven't overanalyzed it from the energy perspective, because what I feel with coaching is that coaching is taking the pressure off that connection to spirit. It's no longer that person walks in because they want to transform their life, because they're taking the initiative to make those changes. Where when a person is coming for a mediumship session or a healing session or even a psychic reading, I don't know about you, but for me, when I get in my space, when I'm connecting with spirit, that person doesn't get much of a chance to talk. It's not so much an equal conversation. It is like, okay, hold your boots. I hope you got questions, because we'll get to that, but I'm just going to say exactly what I'm getting. And it tends to be boom, 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 boom. I mean, I've had a lot of people tell me that having one session with you is like having 3 sessions. And thank goodness I recorded it, because there's no way I would have remembered everything that got said. And I'm like, well, I really just open up the channel and I just get it going. But it definitely, what I will say I have noticed is that since I brought in more coaching into and coaching techniques into my readings and beginning to offer them to people, is that my anxiety has definitely gone down. My energy levels have picked up. And then when I do a reading, it's really clear. It tends to be quite clear. And I also am not kind of beating myself up for not understanding every single bit and piece of the puzzle. Because when I was really focusing solely on my mediumship and strengthening that ability, yeah, it was clear. But if I couldn't figure out what spirit was trying to tell me, it could really trip me up. I really got hung up on it because, you know, we have such a great connection. Why can't I understand this one thing you're trying to tell me? Like, I want to be able to know. And I think that I was putting a lot of pressure on it, and even jumping in a little bit to the whole idea that so many others have, that it should be like Hollywood. You know, we should just be able to see, and it should be like reading out of a book, and we should understand every single detail. And anyone that's worked in this line of work for a long period of time knows it's not like that.
No.
It's not like that. And if you're expecting it to be like that, I'm going to burst your bubble right now. You're likely going to be disappointed.
Yeah. Which is why you know what, I'm a medium. I don't practice it. I never built that ability up. You know, if spirit wants to come through, they're going to come through. And 90% of the time I ignore them, because not going to go there. I'm just not going to go. It was not something I wanted to build up for me. I do not suffer from anxiety. I have, and most of the time when I have, it's because somebody's booked a mediumship reading and I'm going, oh, no, I don't want to do it. No. Which is why I stopped offering it. So kudos to you. There was no way I was building up my mediumship. I was happy with my cards because I got 20 decks and we're good. We're good to go. A little bit of an obsession. So my Tom freaks out whenever I buy a new deck because I got too many of them already. Okay. So before we stop talking about mediumship and being a psychic intuitive, and we get into the other stuff that you've got going on, is there anything that you would want to tips for anybody who's thinking of going into mediumship or psychic intuitiveness, card readings, anything along the divination aspect? Do you have any tips or tricks or just really any words of wisdom for people who are looking to get into that?
I think to really make sure you're paying attention to whose beliefs you're taking on. It's very easy to get caught up, especially if you're someone that's learning from someone else. It's very easy to get caught up in their beliefs and to take that on so deeply that you truly believe it. And then when you go back, for me, when I really went back and took my pause after having my son, and I went back to connecting and focusing on my own connection for myself and for my soul connection, there was a lot of things that I'm like, that's interesting that the last couple of years I've taken on those beliefs that really don't resonate with me. In my opinion, what I always tell my students, if you're looking to, you know, enhance your intuition and that connection, your fast track is journaling, prayer, meditation. Those are going to help get you clear. They're going to help open you up, and amazing things can happen just from adding in those 3 simple daily exercises. Another thing I will say, for those who are interested in becoming mediums, in becoming psychics, work on your own healing. Because if you go out into the world with that and you get busy with it, you will neglect yourself time and time and time again. Because as healers, as light workers, we have a tendency to really want to help others and keep others like happy and impressed, and make sure that they understand our worth and that we feel worthy and that we feel approval from others, that will so often push our own boundaries, neglect our own boundaries, neglect ourselves, and really forget that our ability is our gift. And that it is just that, a gift to work with. It does not mean that it has to rule your entire life. There needs to be balance, like with anything else.
Perfect. Now, are you teaching people how to do that?
So in the past I have. In the past I've done, it originally was going to be a 3-part program. It ended up becoming a 2-part program for mediumship and doing psychic readings as well. And I've had some incredible students who really opened up to their mediumship gifts. And I know when I always arranged it so that clients could come in and receive a reading from the group that I was training, and they were blown away by the messages, absolutely blown away. So that has happened. I've been asked lots about if I would do a mentorship program, a longer program. And for some reason, I always put it off. Now I understand why I put it off, because the program that I will be putting on, that I will be offering, that we will be offering, is going to be so much more than just developing your gifts. Because I am a true believer that if you want to develop your gifts, you have to be connected to your soul. You have to have that soul connection if you want to do this long term. Because if you don't, you're going to go through the burnout. You're going to go through the overwhelm. You're going to go through the, I'm comparing myself to everybody else. But when you understand who you are, you're able to kind of let go of that and really embrace being you. So the courses that I've put on in the past, those mediumship courses, in all honesty, I don't know if they'll ever run again like that. Because I think these other parts are very, very important for opening that up, especially if this is something you want to do as a career.
So it's like my psychic intuitive coaching. Tanza was actually the first person to introduce me to meditation. And if most of you have watched me before, I disagree with normal terms of meditation. I am controversial, but exactly as Tanza said, it's not about what somebody's teaching you. It is about what you believe to be true for yourself. So the way Tanza taught me meditation did not resonate with me. I sat there feeling totally awkward in the group. Went home, and it took me a couple of years to figure out, okay, that's not my way of doing it, right? So with my coaching, my psychic intuitive coaching, we start off finding out what your intuition is for you, and how those gifts and abilities, what you are capable of, what you'd like to be capable of. And we go through the entire process based on your energy, not mine, not what I tell you to believe in. And I think it's wonderful, because Tanza was always the same way with me, with it's all about what you feel. So awesome. Let's keep going, because I know I got lots of questions for you. And there's lots of exciting stuff to talk about from Tanza and Tom. One of those things is the modern day mystics. So let's start talking about that. For anybody following me, I did share Tanza and Tom's new group, the Modern Day Mystics. I shared it in my Facebook group, on my page. Make sure you join. Answer those 3 questions as honestly as you can, because those are super freaking important. And if you don't answer them, you're not getting it. So how about you tell us, what is the Modern Day Mystics? Why should people join? And why are you doing it together?
You know, we really were discussing our life especially when I was redoing my website. It kind of came up that when I went to write about me, I was like, I'm living the life of a modern day mystic. You know, in history, there have always been healers. There's always been oracles. There's always been seers all throughout history. But their lives were very different than our lives are today. It used to be, if this is the line of work you wanted to do, you usually went to learn under someone else for years. And quite often a village would support you because everyone saw what you did as important. And nowadays, and quite often those people, they would never get married. They would never have children. They wouldn't have to worry about bills getting paid. Nowadays, life is different for us. we have to worry about where the money's coming from to pay the bills. We have to worry about the credit card debt that we're racking up. We need to think about looking after our kids, balancing our marriage, our relationships, our friendships, taking on the fact that the rest of our family may think that we're crazy. You know, there's so much more to it now than there was hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, all throughout history. So we really wanted a place where we could authentically show up and just be who we are and be like, this is what life looks like. This is what it looks like for us. I mean, I'm someone that went from being totally lost, unsure in my direction, kind of dreaming of reaching the point that I've reached with my business, and thought, oh my gosh, life will be so incredible when I get there. And it is, it's absolutely incredible. But I forgot that everyday life wasn't going to stop, that I was going to have to learn how to balance my gifts and being so open. When I went through a big increase in the amount of clients I was seeing, I forgot that when you go from seeing a few clients a week to all of a sudden seeing, 9, 12 clients a week, or doing open mediumship events to 30 people, to 40 people, you are basically saying to Spirit, okay, I'm serving my life as a channel and let's go. And I'm on all the time. And so it came to our attention that it really was important to make a space to address those issues, and also a space to work as a couple, because Tom and I are both people that have gone through our own healing journey. And I think so often in couples, one person will go on it and the other person doesn't, and there can be a disconnect in their relationship. And they can forget that their partner needs their support or would benefit from their support. So we decided to come to a place where we can provide hopefully some insight and share our knowledge and share our experiences, because honestly, Thomas is one of the most intuitive people I've ever met. And I'll never forget the day that he looked at me and he was like, I think you can do that. We were flipping through the channels and Teresa Caputo came on and we're watching. And this was years ago, way before we had kids. And he looked at me and he's like, you can do that. And I was like, what are you, crazy? Like, what do you think? You want to lock me up in the loony bin? Like, what do you mean I can talk to dead people? You're nuts. You're nuts. And it's so funny because so many times throughout our relationship, he was always giving intuitive messages. And over the last few years, he's really learned how to open up to his own intuition. And I'll let him tell you a little bit about that. But for me, it was creating a space and a community that really brought out the desire to create the modern day mystic and soul connected creators. And especially inviting people that want to create the life of their dreams, that want to create a life they genuinely love living. Because I think there's so many people that just go through life and forget to really embody the fact that they too are a creator and they can make it anything they desire. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
Hi, I'm Thomas. I'm Tanza's husband, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks for bringing me on, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share, I guess. So when I started getting into this, it was more or less because I had a business and it was go, go, go the whole time. There was never a time when I could stop and do something I wanted to do. There was never a time that I could connect with that soul that I lost years ago. And that's kind of where the soul connected creator came from. I had to go through my healing journey and stumble and fall and pick myself up a few times, not just once. It happened more than once. It was actually to the point where I thought, can I pick myself up again? When I started experiencing burnout on my last fall, I said, this is a time when if I can make it through this, there's nothing that can ever get in my way again. And I did it. I got through it. I pushed through it. And if you guys have never read the book, it's Give and Take. If you guys have never read that, I urge you to read that book, Give and Take by Adam Grant. I follow a lot of other people that have helped me break through things. I work with a mentor on a daily basis that has really guided me through this process of when I fell and had to pick myself back up again. To date, it's been a year that I haven't drank. It's actually been more than a year. I haven't touched a drop of alcohol, and I feel alive, I feel well. I've never felt so empowered as I have in these last 2 years. Hi, little man. You happy? I've never felt so empowered as I have in these last 2 years, and this modern day mystic world opened up a whole new game for me. It opened up a whole new game for me, and it was my family that I had to connect with. I worked hard for what I have, and but it just, the spark wasn't there. So I had to go back to being me, to spend time with this guy for the last 9 months and live off of hot dogs, literally, to put something new together, to put me together again. So now every move I make, every thought, anything that I come in contact with, I make sure that it's my soul connection that's being created. You can go through life and you can live someone else's beliefs the whole time. But if you go through life and you don't take into consideration if you're doing it for the right reasons or all the wrong reasons, you can build a $1 million business, a $5 million business off your own back. But if you want to take that to a different level, you have to have passion. You have to have passion, and you have to have compassion and consideration of those that work alongside you and alongside with you. And that's kind of why we wanted to start teaching together, because I have that side of me that has that burning desire to create more and to create it from a soul level. And then to throw a twist into that, I've also been practicing a lot with my own intuition. And when I say intuition, for those that don't understand, I mean, intuition has a big, broad definition. To me, intuition means a gut feeling. If you go back to the ages of when we were not as evolved as we are today, if somebody or something was getting kicked out of the herd, it was all to do with energy and how people reacted and how animals reacted when they shunned one another. It's no different in society today. And so to me, it's how your body language comes across that I make my assumptions on. And that's generally what the public does. Yeah. So I find that in business, if you can start reading the cards that are being laid on the table and make clear, transparent decisions off of those, especially if you do it on a soul level, you get connected a lot quicker because you're making decisions from the heart. You're not making decisions just to make money. You're making decisions because your passion and your creativity lies with it. And that's why I think it's a great important aspect of teaching together, because a lot of people, they struggle with their business because they're not soul connected. And it took me years to figure that out. It took me years to plant that seed in my head that I needed to be soul connected or else I was going nowhere. I was just getting tired and wore out.
But you were making tons of money doing so. Like you had a
very fulfilling me. It wasn't fulfilling me.
Well providing business. It's just that there wasn't that fulfillment and there definitely wasn't that happiness.
Don't like the banana?
So I want to interject there because I do have a couple questions for you, Tom, on that. For anybody listening to that explanation about that level of happiness, I was trying to record it today, and of course I have little ones too. By the way, Colt, you were freaking adorable. So I was trying to record this video. I was all in the zone. I was doing this, pre-recorded webinar, and I spent the last week, and I don't know if it was the full moon energy, but I spent the last week absolutely detailing out my ideal clients. Now, you guys have probably seen, I have the 7 mindset pillars. They are our foundation of life. And you guys have quoted those a little bit, the same ideas on that quite a bit already. Now, the reason I mention this is because in the video that I'm doing, the webinar that I'm doing, I'm actually considering doing it live. it talks about your level of happiness. You can be absolutely fantastic. And this goes out to everybody. This isn't directed at Tom and Tanza. This is directed at people who don't get this yet. You can have the most idealistic life, the children, the business, the income, that you can have all of that and still be terribly unhappy because your mindset is not where it needs to be. Your mindset is not on who you are yourself. It's not on your spirituality. It's not on your relationships. It's on finances. It's on business. It's on, you know, I have to be making this much money in order to provide for my family. And the reason I mention this again is because I find that men struggle with that. Women struggle and lose themselves to their families. Women will struggle and lose themselves, their happiness, to providing the emotional, physical, and mental support to their families, right? Everybody else's needs comes before our own. And that causes a lot of unhappiness for women. But for men, you guys have this unimaginative burden that you have to make tons of money. You have to provide for your wife and children. You have to provide for your family. You have to be strong all the time and not intuitive and not connected to your own inner knowing. And that's why I coach men, because it's so hard to have that stereotype. And so I just want to say, for myself and for my husband, who's a psychic, and very rarely will he actually admit that he's psychic. But for men, I am so proud of you for opening yourself up, for finding who you are, and for really speaking your truth to the masses, because we need more men like you. We need more men who are willing to open up, who are willing to teach and guide not only other men, but other women, to say, open your man's freaking mind. Like, get them on the train, because it's going. We're all going to say chugga chugga choo choo, because Colt would probably freak out. But we got to get this stuff going, because not a lot of people realize you can have the perfect life and still be so unhappy. I see this every day with celebrities, musicians, doctors, lawyers. All of these high profile individuals commit suicide on a daily basis because they're not happy. And again, yeah.
Absolutely. And we forget how easy it can be. And I think people, if anyone out there is listening that's going through this, please take a moment and really think about this, because it is such a normal thing. And I know I see it literally every day. Melissa, I'm sure you've seen it bucket loads. That when we see one person in the relationship go through their healing and the other person doesn't, they so often get to a point where they disconnect because one outgrows the other. And I know I've had clients come to me and they're like, well, I haven't changed. And I'm like, well, that's the problem, because your life has changed. And if you haven't changed, if you haven't grown and your partner has, it's hard to stay together and have that firm foundation if you're not even speaking the same language anymore.
Yeah. I noticed. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
And that's where you really have to have a connection. If you lose that spark in yourself, you're going to lose that in your relationship. And if you don't groom, if you don't do maintenance, that's like driving a truck and never changing the oil on it. Like, sooner or later, you're going to blow the engine, and you wouldn't want that to happen to your marriage. And the worst thing that I ever did, I remember when my first son was born. I worked a job where I was gone at all times. I saw him for 2 days the first time he was born. I saw him for the first 2 days, and then I saw him in his crib first thing in the morning. And this was at 4 a.m. when I'd leave the house. And then at night at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, sometimes at 11 o'clock after client meetings when you're coming home. This happened for 2 years straight. By the time I hit my burnout stage after 2 years, and this is consulting in the oil field industry, and I was very young. I was 24 years old. I was not prepared to take on what I took on. I crashed and burned hard. I sat on the couch for about a month or two after, not knowing what to even think, not knowing what to do, not knowing where my next check was coming from, literally having all my eggs in one basket. And it was because I wasn't connected. Because if I would have been connected, I could have picked myself up like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean when I say when you face an obstacle head on, you need to have your soul behind yourself. You need to act from a soul perspective. You need to act from the heart. If you can't be authentically confident and compassionate and passionate if you are not soul connected. Mm-hmm. And that was some of the biggest downfalls I ever had in business. I didn't have authentic confidence. I had a giant ego that drove my confidence. So now going through my healing journey and finding who I really am and garbaging all the beliefs that I took on has helped me get to a complete different confidence level.
Especially because life is always going to change. There's always going to be the unknown will start to happen. I mean, that's one thing we can guarantee is there will be periods of uncertainty. And I mean, just to share a little bit of a story about what we've gone through is before we found out we were pregnant with Colt, our youngest, we were ready to sell everything. We were selling Tom's business. We were selling this home. We were gone. We were taking our 2 kids, packing up and moving to Costa Rica. And we were so over the moon excited about it. We had worked through fears. We had worked through blocks. We had been to the point where we're like, we're doing this. We're getting rid of everything. We're going to start new. We're going to be in Costa Rica on the ocean. It's going to be gorgeous. And literally all within a 24-hour time frame, one of the buyers for Tom's business basically said that he wanted us to move there, relocate, and run the business. And we were like, well, that's not where we want to go. We found out the buyers for a house couldn't get it pulled together to make it work. And when Tom phoned me that night on his drive home from viewing and visiting and discussing with the potential buyer for his business, he's phoning me to talk and he says, what are you doing? And I said, I'm walking into the bathroom and I'm looking at a pregnancy test and I'm pregnant. And we were like, okay, things come in 3, signs come in 3, there's our 3. We're not selling, we're not moving, we're staying right here, we're gonna have a baby. And was it a little bit of an upheaval? Yeah, because we had plans. Like we were literally, Tom was going to make the deposit on our home in Costa Rica that night when he got into Prince George. And so, yeah, it was a total like, oh my goodness, what do we do now? But because we were connected to who we truly were and who we truly are, we knew we were going to be okay. We knew we could get through this. We knew this was happening for a reason, and we knew this was the redirection that we needed. And we're going, okay, I get it. And it's so funny because I can't even tell you, like there's so many things when I look back in my journal, the birth part was always coming up. This new stuff was always new. There's going to be a baby. And I thought, yes, this is going to be this healing retreat I'm going to start in Costa Rica. It's going to be amazing. And then, lo and behold, we found out, no, it was actually a baby that was coming. Were you like the kitty, huh?
I know. I was totally devastated that they were moving to Costa Rica. I was like, I think I literally text you whining, going, no, that's not fair. Yeah, it's definitely, life can definitely throw those upheaval moments. And to be honest, working with the shadow side, which is what I do because I love the shadow side. I think it's your most important aspect in your entire freaking life. And that's why I always say that the darkness shows us the most light. When everything is crashing and everything seems like, Tom, you and your burnout, right? Tanza, you and your like excitement for the move, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, you're pregnant again, right? And those moments are the most transformational moments that anybody can go through, is to have all of your plans go, bye, we're not dealing with this anymore. And then you're like, oh, but this is so much more powerful. This is so much more beautiful. Tom, you were able to reconnect to yourself, to your family. Tanza, you guys created 3 amazingly adorable. I watch the Instagram photos all the time, and your kids are adorable. Especially the little one who's like loving my kitten right now. You're gonna have to bring him over so he can play with them. I've got 9 of them, by the way. he can take one home. I've got outdoor ones. He can take them home. But it's definitely important to know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, like Tom said, connect to your soul. Like Tanza did, connect to your soul like I did. When I met Tanza for the very first time, and I've told you guys the story and I will tell it again and again and again. When I met Tanza, I was so lost. I was so confused. I was struggling with my own negativity, with my own past. I believed Hollywood that told you, you know, all of these negative evil spirit stories. And if it wasn't for Tanza, and if it wasn't for me being so desperate and going to see Tanza when I did, I wouldn't be doing this today. I wouldn't be sitting here going, I can help transform people's lives into creating a life that they love, because I wouldn't have had that confidence. I wouldn't have had that crash and burn, and I wouldn't have had that awakening moment. So absolutely transformative. If you guys have not already clicked that link to join their group, make sure you do it. It's going to be amazing. I tried to get Tom to click and join. Actually, no, I clicked Tom's name to join, but didn't fill out any questions. So he might not be on there yet. I don't know yet, but we're gonna be putting him on because he needs to hear it too. All right, so let's see what other questions I have for you today. So we kind of touched on your spiritual. Go ahead.
I'm so happy for you, and I'm so proud of you going through your growing and your healing and really embracing that, because so many people walk out the door and they never do anything with the insight that they got. But I always say, if you actually take this and work with it, it can change your life. Like you can change your life. It's never me. It's always you that will do it, because I'm clearly just bringing through some of the tools that have worked for me, that spirit gives me, that you could use, and we just simply run with it. And I have to say that when I first got into this line of work, I remember saying to Tom one day, if I can do for one person, if I can help spark and plant that seed that was planted in my mind that so radically changed my life, my mission is fulfilled. And I see people like you, and I have many other clients that have really embodied this lifestyle. There's nothing else I can call it, because it's not even a lifestyle. It have totally embodied connecting to their soul and discovering who they truly are and taking control and healing themselves. And that is the most incredible thing to watch. And that is where I go, this is my dharma. This is my purpose, is to simply assist others and to watch. And I'm so blessed. I feel so blessed, and I'm so grateful that I have the ability and the privilege to get to watch these transformations happen, because they are magical. They're magical. And it's making, in my opinion, it's making the world a better place. And I'm so happy and feel so blessed that we get to be a part of that.
Well, and I think that's why so many of us are connecting with our twin flames. So from my understanding, being married to mine, he's my own a-hole, and I can't say that out loud because little Colt's ears. But my own personal a-hole of a twin flame that's in the other room, yipping. Being with him, I know, because I work with past lives as well, I know that we haven't had as many past lives together as we've had separate. And one of the things that I believe about twin flames is that you don't go in the same lives together as often, because one usually stays back to help guide from the other side. Whereas right now, and I can tell with you too, right now, a lot of us twin flames are incarnated together because we're needed right now. We need that support. We need that unconditional love, that level of support that you wouldn't get from a soulmate, that you wouldn't get from just a regular karmic relationship, because this world is transforming. This is the generation. This is the time where we are opening up, where the world is becoming a higher conscious collective rather than, you know, this is evil, or it's scary, or it's dangerous. We have such a platform with social media, with videos, with podcasts, all of that, to sit here and tell people, you know, follow your intuition, follow your inner knowing, your gut, your, you know, your heart, your connection to your own spirit. Ooh, I like how you got close there. I want to pinch you. Be careful. I like to pinch. Just a little bit. He's like, no, leave me alone. I'm still going to smile at you, but leave me alone, woman.
But yes, absolutely. I think more than ever. And that's something to keep in mind too. If you're someone that is aspiring to begin working in this field. I know so many people so often get caught up in the comparison of, oh, you know, so-and-so already does that, so I can't go ahead and do that. I've just got to sit, you know, my goals and my dreams out, or I'll have to find something else. Or, you know, for a long time, even I held back from developing courses or putting on workshops because I thought, oh, so-and-so is doing something similar, so that means I can't do it. And finally, I got to the point where I had to stop paying so much attention to what everyone else was going to do and what they were doing, because it was totally blocking me from being ready and from actively actually doing the things I really wanted to do. So for those of you that are thinking about or want to expand your gifts and possibly work with them one day, this world needs that. It needs more of it. There are so many people beginning to wake up and beginning to understand and beginning to be open to the idea that they're so much more powerful than they've ever allowed themselves to believe, and that they're allowed to believe in what it is they feel is right for them without having someone else tell them what it is they should or should not believe. That the more people that embody that message, that really are a role model for authenticity and being who you are, and unapologetically being who you are, because so often we want to apologize for those sides of us that, like you were saying, the darker side. I always look at it like I'm a circle. Every side of me, it takes every one of those to make me who I am, and there's no part of me that's better or worse than the other. It's all just what adds up to being me, that makes me me. So I definitely think that we're going to see more and more people become drawn to the work that we're putting out into the world as a conscious collection, because people are beginning to see how it can transform their life and how much happier they can be and how much more fulfilled they can feel, and that they really can take control and let go of those old hurts and heal their lives and change their lives.
Yeah. So one of the things that I suggest to all the viewers, to everybody who's going to catch the replay, who's watching live, make sure that you're finding people like Tanza, like Tom, like myself, like so many other healers that we specifically know, who are going to ask you the questions, not tell you the answers. Now, going to a psychic, totally different. You're going to get the answers. Not necessarily the ones you want, but the ones you need, because Spirit doesn't give you what you want. But you're going to get the answers that way that you need. But if you really want to find the answers to what your path is, to what you're meant to do, find somebody who's going to ask you the questions and not tell you. That is the key to a good psychic, or not a good psychic, a good coach, a good mentor, teacher, is to ask the questions. Because you don't want somebody you're going to go to and be like, oh, I don't know what my path is. Well, you're supposed to be a psychic. Well, I'm not. No. What do you like to do? What do you love? Where are you going? What do you see for yourself in 5 years, right? And that's really huge. So I really love that. Now, I'm trying to decide whether or not we've discussed. So soul connected creative. Is that what it's called? Soul connected creative?
Creators.
Creators.
So, like, yes.
Okay.
So, and the reason we chose the word creators is because we believe that that's each what we are. Whether it's you're someone that believes in God and spirit and source and the universe, whatever you prefer to call it, it's no different than a mother with a child. I may have given my child life, and Tom, you know, as a mother, as a father, we've given our children life, but we've given them this life to live. It is theirs to create and choose what they want. And it's, in my opinion, the very same with our connection to our higher power. We, even though, yes, we have that divine connection, we are a part of that amazing energy. And being that we are a part of that, it is up to us, it is our responsibility to create what it is we desire, to create and fulfill the path that we have come here to walk. And it is up to us to do so.
Yep, absolutely. 110% agree. It is, if you're unhappy with your life, that's on you. If you want to change your life, that's on you. We can help you. Tanza and Tom can help you. I can help you. We can help you as healers, as teachers, as coaches, as mediums, psychics, whatever you want to call us, whatever you want to call spirit, universe. We can help you, but you have to be ready. You have to want to change. You have to identify, okay, this is where I'm hurting. What does this mean? And again, find people who are going to ask you those in-depth questions. Oh, poor little Colt's cranky now, aren't we, honey? It's like, I had my nap. I'm good to go, but you guys won't put me down. Let me go.
I guess we should have woke them up during supper instead of letting them sleep.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And don't worry, 90% of my videos, my kids are interrupting. My cat is interrupting. I always, that's the thing. People think, oh, I have to have, the perfect hair. And I'm on an old laptop. I don't have an Apple, which I will be getting because, as you can tell, Tanza and Tom's video is so much better. But eventually I'll be getting an Apple when you guys start becoming clients and I start, having enough money to afford an Apple. Then that'll probably happen, but not yet. But it's authentic, right? We're authentic. We don't need to have the perfect pictures, the perfect quiet location. I tried to do my webinar video today. I was in the zone. My voice sounded great. And then all of a sudden, Mom, can I have some goldfish? I'm just like, seriously, really? Like, why? But this is what you're going to get. This is families. This is people embracing that they're not just singular people trying to teach other people. We're real. We're trying to teach the families. We're trying to teach the parents, the individuals, the couples. Speaking of couples, I'm going to be asking a question about that because I told you we were going to get into that. But we're trying to teach the people who are real, who are wanting to, promote a healthier life, live a happier life, in spite of the fact that, they've got the ideal life or they're not connected to their soul or whatever it is that our clients are looking for. We're trying to teach them to find that authentically as themselves and not as many versions of us or many versions of the supermodels or, GQ's top 100, whatever it may be. We're not trying to teach people that. Another thing that I wanted to mention, because I know you had talked about competition, literally the reason I started doing this webinar series was because I was feeling competition. I felt like I had to compete with my peers. I felt like I had to compete with women who were making jewelry and mediums and psychics and people who were doing coaching. And I sat down one day, I saw somebody's jewelry that they had made, and I said, oh my, that's gorgeous. Why are you having issues with this? Like, what about this scenario are you being shown? And I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing an interview series, and I'm going to start showing my value, my, gratefulness for everybody else in this world who are trying to make it better. And that's exactly what Tanza and Tom are doing. And I'm so grateful they're joining me. So, Tom, what would you like to say about your baby project that you're bringing to the world? And let's talk about couples because that's super important.
Well, we have decided to start working with couples as well. We're starting to design a program for it. And it's kind of a new child being born because it's something that we were asked. We were asked to see if we would start this couples program, and asked again over and over, and we just kind of said, this isn't really a dating service. Like we're not starting the whole couples thing, and you know, we were asked again after that, and I said, you know, maybe we need to look at it here because, you know, well, I guess to date I've done two live events with Tanza, and they went well, and I could see that what I was portraying as a message resonated, and people wanted to hear more of it. And because there's a lot of, and like you said earlier, there's a lot of females in the room wanting to learn, but the men are missing. And I've noticed ever since I've gone on my own healing journey and telling certain individuals, planting the seed and expressing it in a different way, because the words you choose to use are the words that, the words you choose to use are the actions you make. And what I found is that if you don't use the correct words, some people it doesn't resonate with them, right? Mm-hmm. So if I can call it psychic intuitiveship, or I can call it something else, it all depends. It all depends on what body language I get from you are the words that I choose to use, mm-hmm. so that it clicks in my mind what I'm actually doing. So I don't know if that really kind of takes that to a deeper note, but when we started doing the two courses that we have worked with to date, I follow Tony Robbins quite a bit, and I thought I would start using some of what I learned through his books and what I learned through, you know, following him, and it all went back to core values. It went back to core values, and it went to who you are on a soul level. Yeah. And that's where I feel that when we do work with couples, once we kick the program off, I'm excited to dig deep into having the people see, are they who they want to be? Are they doing what they want to do? Because if you come home every night and you're just working a job, or you're in an environment where you don't want to be, of course you're not going to be who you're supposed to be, right? And that pressure gets passed on down the line. And I think in today's society, we work for employers, or we're in situations or in relationships, whether it's at a bank or your marriage, or it doesn't matter. Anything is a relationship nowadays. Anything you come in contact with is a relationship. So in society nowadays, I find there's so many relationships that don't take into consideration that, you know, they're portraying a message where you're just basically told to shut up and hang on for the ride, you know, and I find that it's just not, it's not what we should, that's not the message we should be putting out there.
Yeah.
Right?
No, absolutely. I totally agree. Tanza, you look like you wanted to add to that, so go ahead.
No, I mean, you know, I think Tom is someone that has definitely always had a real interest and love in psychology. And, you know, he's kind of, if we look at it like we're all chakras, I'm the top and he's the bottom. He's the rooted, grounded, you know, realistic. And sometimes when I word things, and I think this is what he was getting at, is we can be talking to a client or to a couple, and the way I word things may resonate with one of them, but maybe it doesn't resonate with the other. And Tom, seen as he has not been working in this industry for long or as much as I have, he has different words that he chooses and different ways of explaining things to people. And I think that's what maybe a fair deal of men are missing, is that when we go in and we start talking about things on a spiritual level, they're like, whoa, that sounds too out there, or, you know, I don't really understand what that means, but they don't want to ask what does it mean.
Start to kind of shy away.
Yeah. So having someone like Tom, who is, you know, very much has lots of experience in business, in,
well, he has the masculine energies, right? Which is business.
Absolutely.
Sorry. Yeah, no. I find even still, and that's why I kind of more so split my two aspects of coaching. Mindset, there's absolutely spirituality in mindset, but I don't talk about it as much as I would in the psychic intuitive coaching, right? And there's mindset and spirituality in both of them. But that's where you get the men who are like, okay, we're really open. We've got that feminine energy. We just don't care. I'm a psychic medium. Good to go, right? We just keep going because we're just so used to it, where men are like, you're a psychic, hey? Let's just take a few steps back here. And they almost withdraw their energy because it's uncomfortable. And men, and I just from my knowledge of my interaction with men, which has been many, men tend to withdraw their energy very quickly and very frequently when something new or something uncomfortable comes up. They don't show that's happening. And they don't say, well, you're a lunatic, or oh, let me know more because I'm kind of interested. No, they're like, they completely back off. And I think that's society telling them, well, that's too feminine, or that's too spiritual and in-depth, right? So it's definitely awesome. And again, I want to commend Tom for really opening up and using his voice and his message to help reach those men that wouldn't normally, and even women. There will be women that resonate more with Tom than they do with you because of the wording, right? Of the fact that they may be more masculine in energy and want to resonate more with Tom than they would with you. So that's definitely a plus of working with a couple in your case. So that's really awesome.
Absolutely.
I find that when I work with someone, when I speak to someone, it's their state of mind that they're in. So if I notice it's the state that they're in, it's how I want to break through to change that state of mind. Because if you really want someone to, it's no different than going out and selling you something. I could be a used car salesman and trying to sell you a shitty old Volkswagen. If I don't change your state of mind, if I don't change your thought process as to why you're supposed to buy this shitty Volkswagen, you're never going to buy it. And that's the bottom line. So it's no different in teaching, and it's no different in speaking, in public speaking, or anything that we do. If you don't engage with a crowd, and I have my auctioneer ticket, by the way, and this came from when I started my auctioneering. If you don't engage with the crowd, or if you don't engage with who you're speaking with, in the heart and in the mind, you've lost them. So, and that goes right back to teaching. If you can teach them something that will trigger something in their head to start the thought process, and that's why I feel that when we speak together and we teach together, people come together because they see the psychic mediumship side of it, and then they see the side of breakthrough happen, and then they achieve results.
Absolutely. And I think that too, when we first started being asked about doing a couples program, I mean, I was told, and I remember thinking, and I remember feeling from early in my journey that one day Tom and I would work together. And I remember at that time, he was so on the fence about if he could really believe this stuff that I was into. And I know he had lots of times that he kind of gave me, okay, whatever you say, Tanza, went along with it. But I always felt like one day we would work together. And when we started being asked about doing couple stuff, at first it was hard to even imagine, because we were like, we're not counselors. We're not trained psychologists. We're not people that are used to having that kind of, dealing with people that are in such a vulnerable state. Yeah, like that's a tough thing when your marriage is going through rough times. But then we started to realize more and more that it was people were looking for that connection. They want the ability and they want the help to open up and learn to communicate with one another. And that's something, Tom and I have been through pretty well anything that would typically tear a couple apart. We've managed to pull through and to become stronger and stronger. And so as much as we began to realize, and I continue to focus on the spiritual part and continuing to develop and grow and figure out where my focus and where my business is going to go, this has come up over and over and over again. So as of yet, we don't have a launch date for that program, but it's definitely in the works. We've heard the people ask, and we are listening. We're just making sure that what we put together is transformational and incredible, because that has always been our main focus.
Join the group. You first heard it here. This is the first you're going to hear of it. Join the group. Join the group.
Absolutely.
Yes, and the group will have another exciting announcement come later in the month about the program that I have been designing the last 3 years, essentially. The last 3 years, essentially, making sure that it was going to be what I really wanted it to be. And I'm so thankful that Tom has jumped on board, and I think he's going to help me with that, to make sure that we can provide as much information and insight as we can possibly get into one program without completely overwhelming people, to make sure that we're providing the transformation that we can possibly provide, and bringing in those tools and that knowledge to help people get to where they desire to be.
Absolutely. I'm super excited for that, and I can't wait to see what you guys, because I've joined the group, people. I can't wait to see what you guys come out with. Sorry, the cat is all over my room, so I'm trying to like grab him and chokehold him for a minute. No, he totally likes it. He tries to attack me when I do it, and that's great. That's Pat, the card reading cat. If anybody is wondering, if I'm doing readings, he's on my butt somewhere. He's kind of obsessed a little bit with cards. It's annoying. So I don't know why, but the last few times that I've done Melissa's Monday Madness, Spirit has just been like, hi, how are you? So I have a question for Tom, and I'm not going to go into a lot of details, so don't worry. I don't like doing that. That's why I don't do mediumship. But I just got a couple thoughts going through. So when you were talking about being able to talk to people in different ways and picking up on their energy, I am very good at that as well. Now, the reason that I'm really good at that is I've worn many hats. I have been through many different traumas. And I've been through a lot of different life circumstances that most people wouldn't go through, or if they had, it wouldn't be that combination of crap. I'm going to go there. So have you worn many hats? Like, have you had many careers and many lifestyles that you've gone through in your life to enable you to have that ability to feel people's energies? Because when I'm talking to one man, I will talk one way. I'll be a freaking sailor. And then I'll talk to another man or a woman, and my entire demeanor changes. My entire personality, my demeanor will change based on the person that I'm talking to. They're all different aspects of me, but I can change what I portray very easily. Yeah, I don't, it's like I've lived so many freaking lives that it all just kind of pops out whenever I need it to.
I think what you're trying to say is you take on their energy. Mm-hmm. And that is I used to do the very same thing, but what I'll warn you from that is you're standing on very volatile ground when you do that. Mm-hmm. The reason I say that is because you create your blood flow in your heart no different than a stock chart. It's up and down all the time. And you feel like you got a roller coaster going on inside there. And just because that person that you're talking to has a different set of strategies or a different outlook on life doesn't mean you should take it on. Yeah. Use it as a tool in your toolbox. Learn how to use it as a tool in your toolbox and harness that and keep it as a tool, but don't ride that emotional roller coaster, because what's going to end up happening is you will literally turn into an emotional roller coaster the same as from one person to the next to the next.
Oh, absolutely.
And so when I see that the state of mind in someone that I'm working with is not is like up and down and is really shifty, the first thing you want to start doing is to stay grounded, because if you take on their viewpoint, you're taking on their beliefs.
But I think what she's asking you is if you'll share a little bit of your story.
No, you don't have to share any of your story. I totally agree with you on the energies, because I spent so many years blocking my own abilities, and that's total another story. But after 20 years of blocking my own abilities, for me to meet other people, I can pick up on their energies, but I don't actually take them on, which is really good. I learned very early how to mask my own empathetic gifts, so that I only take on energies when they're mass affected, or when if Tom is in a bad mood, I am in a bad mood. I cannot hide my empathetic nature from him. It's terrible. So that's the only issue I have there. But yeah, absolutely. If you want to share some of your story, absolutely. I'm sure people would love to resonate with you on that level, that, it's not all fun and games.
So I left home at a very young age. I left home at the age of 15, and I just kind of ventured out on my own, and I started breaking trail. And let's face it, when I started breaking trail, there was a lot of tough times. There was a lot of sleepless nights. Like at 15 years old, you shouldn't be breaking your own trail. You shouldn't be leaving home and taking off to northern Saskatchewan to work for a dairy farmer and not know people, right? Like I left my family. I left the only thing that I knew. I grew up in a closed-knit society. I didn't have a personal identity. I was told to be something other than what I wanted to be, something other than I was at heart. So after I was going through all that, and let's just say there's a huge gap from the age of 15 to when me and Tanza met, that I'd rather just, my book is coming. You can read the book. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, yes, I have been through a lot of past experiences, leaving home at a young age, working in the oil and gas industry, working in the lumber industry, going through my dark side, I will call it, has brought me to the point where if you get into that lower frequency, I guess I could call it, the hardest part is to not take it on.
Yeah.
And even harder than that is, if you do take it on, is to shed it. Because it's all over the place. It's all over social media. And it's everybody else's fault that this happens. I could go on every day blaming our prime minister for everything that happens in my life. That's like saying, Tony Robbins has a really good saying. He's like, that's like saying I don't have a business anymore. 9/11 took it out. And then there's everybody else that has a successful business, and you're the only one complaining about it. So it's the same thing. Yeah, we go through these life lessons. We hit them every time face first into the wall. And if you don't back up and conquer that obstacle, if you don't push through, if you don't break through at any cost, I don't care what the cost is, if you don't break through it, you're not prepared for the next one that you're going to face.
Yep.
And so I think that's what you're trying to say is how, like, have you wore a lot of hats? Yeah, I have. But what I've learned, one of the biggest strong points you could ever have in life, and that is to wear one hat.
Mm-hmm.
One hat. And that's to be soul connected, aligned in here, and what is in here needs to come out. And it's no different. Wayne Dyer had a really good saying. He said, when you squeeze an orange, if you put an orange on top of your kitchen counter and squeeze down on it, what comes out of it? Supposed to be orange juice, right? Unless, of course, the orange is rotten.
Yeah. So who you are under pressure.
So who you are under pressure is a reflection of who you are inside. And so that was one of the first things that I really took to heart when I went through my healing journey. I saw it posted somewhere, and I thought about it, and I thought, I used to go off in spurts. I would just spaz out, and I thought, that's me under pressure. And if I'm placed under enough pressure, what comes out then? So I really needed to, I needed to create the shift, and it wasn't an easy shift to go through. There were, like, we had many hopes and dreams, trust me. And our life looked picture perfect on the outside. And the worst thing you can ever do as a couple is to hide your healing journey, is to keep it quiet. The more you speak about it, the more you get it out. We haven't got a beautiful past. None of us do. We all go through our healing journeys. But if you let that bottle up inside you, go to your counselor. There's lots of people that care in this world to hear your story. Lots. If you don't get that story out, it just festers inside you. It becomes like an infection that just creates bigger and bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden it abscesses and pops, and then you have this huge injury that you have to heal, and there was no need for it. There was no need for it. You just got to get the shit out. You got to get it off you, right?
Yep. Which is why I just wrote my first book. So yes, I definitely know that I left home at 14. I grew up with a very narcissistic family, greedy family. You name it. I've been through it. I went through sex, drugs, prostitution, lots of those hats. So I definitely get it. I get the struggle. I get, always being true to yourself, regardless of what hat you're wearing. And that's why we have to show up as our authentic selves and tell the world, I'm running a successful business. Is it making me money? Hell no. But that's only because I wasn't being authentic in what I wanted, right? And now, talking to Tanza the other day, I finally figured it out. I figured out what my authentic truth is, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and what I want to bring to my clients. And that made the entire world of difference this past week on, bringing my awareness to my clients rather than bringing, I want your money. No, it's, I want your transformation. And a lot of people who get into the businesses that you and I are in is, oh, we're doing it for the money. They're doing it for the money. They're doing it for the show, or they're doing it for this. No, we're doing it because we genuinely want to heal people, because we've been there. We've been there. We've done that. We've gone through the trials and tribulations. We've gone through the healing. It's time, to spread that word and to help others heal. And that's the goal. And I know that for you guys, it's the exact same goal. It's just to help as many people heal as we can while we're here in this earth. So that is awesome. I know that your little man is a little bit cranky, which is totally fine because he's super cute anyway. And I know what it's like. My youngest is, we're not going to go what my youngest is. Kind of a hellion, but, now he's happy. He's got dad time. He's like, yeah. All right. Well, do you guys have anything else that you would like to share with the people watching at home before we say our goodbyes?
Like we've mentioned, the group 800 times, I know. But we're really looking forward to building that community, to having a place where we can offer to share our knowledge in a way that isn't feeling like we need to put the idea out there that it's our way or the highway, because we are very much like you. We know that people need to figure out what it is that's right for them and go for that. Because if the same thing worked for every single one of us, we'd all be vanilla, and we're not all vanilla. I mean, we're all so different and so unique, and our gifts are so unique, which is why I didn't want to just do another program that was going to teach everyone how to be a medium or how to do exactly like a session that I do, because I think that that's really cheating people of developing their own unique gifts. And I feel that that is so important, because we all have something incredibly valuable to bring this world and to bring into society. And I think the more we learn to step up and really just be who we are, share our journey, share it with people, and just to really be present and be us, and let people know it's okay that if your healing is messy, it's okay if your transformation is really hard. It is. It's going to test you in ways that you've never been tested before. And that's why so many people choose to never go there. They choose to never do it, because is it easier to stay stuck in negativity and dissatisfaction and, like Tom said, blaming everyone else for what your life is? Absolutely. It is easier. If you want the easy way out, that's the easy way. Are you going to be happy? Are you going to be fulfilled? Probably not. But you have to be willing to do that work and to go through the ugly stuff that we've gone through in order to reach a place where we're comfortable with ourselves and can really be who we came here to be.
So now on that topic of blame, if anybody's wondering, I have done 3, if not more, blog posts. One is specifically titled Blame. One is entitled Victim or Victim Mentality, and that is a really good one for people who are blaming others for their issues. So it's another one all about blame. Fighting your shadow self. All of these will talk about negative experiences that you're going through, how they're on you or they're on the universe, because the universe will definitely put things in your way that are predestined. They're lessons you're meant to learn now. So take a look at those. I will share a link to the blog. Tanza will obviously share a link to the group, or I will tag it because I've already got it shared. I'll share it again and again and again. Anybody else, if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments. If you're watching the replay, let me know. I will definitely be sharing Tanza's page, Tom's page, and get you guys on the go with your group and everything else that you've got going on, because I'm very excited to watch this unfold. Thank you so much for joining me. We are going to get off here because I know that we're over the hour and 20-minute mark here. So let everybody go to bed and entertain that cute little snuggler over there. So everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining Melissa's Monday Madness. And I will see you all later. Thanks again, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed your time with me and that you found value in this. So much love, everybody, and I'll see you all later.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Bye. Mwah.